Yo ho ho, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video, or live stream even, on Roll Corruption. We're going to be going through some Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, 4th edition today. This will be the final in the series of this campaign, and there may be room to lift it off again in the future, but we're going to sort of tie things up today for now, so we can move on to another project for a while, doing some Wrath and Glory to keep everyone entertained and to try the system out and have a little bit of fun. So, do you guys want me to do a recap on where you're at currently? That's
yes, please.
Probably of some use. Also, shout out to Sirenscape, shout out to the Witcher soundtrack, and various other things that are down in the comments below as well. Not in the comments, in the doobly-doo. So, last session the group managed to make their way toward the village or destination that they were due to meet this asset, agent, spy, whatever he is. Made their way through the woods where they were set upon by a pack of dire wolves, fought them off pretty bravely, pretty valiantly, and pressed forwards. I think a few wounds were taken, but it could have gone worse, let's say, for a group of large enemies. Made their way to the chosen destination where they realised they were being chased by yet more dire wolves. Running into the village to seek some sort of shelter, the dead that litter the village began to gradually rise and start clawing at their behinds. Making their way into the most fortified building, the group are now within what could be a tavern, could be a village hall, could probably be a religious building as well. Perhaps some combination of all three. Right now it's just full of a few decaying corpses. These ones don't seem to have risen. A few pews and benches and tables pushed towards the walls, pushed towards any loose stonework masonry doors, providing some sort of fortification. And a lone man less decayed than the others, Rogel noticed, who was slumped over the table, a knife down by his side on the floor, a small stain of dried blood by now, at least, and a satchel containing a diary, which Rogel has been busy rummaging through. And that's worth pointing out, since the group have arrived inside, the noises outside have quickly died down. There are no bangs on the door, there is no moaning and groaning from the restless dead outside. After about a minute of arriving in, all seem to fall to a deathly quiet. So inside this diary, Rogel has established that this man was investigating where the dead were coming from and to what purpose. He'd noticed a tomb nearby, seemed to be at least where the first dead were noticed, or that he had noticed, and he had tried to go inside to investigate, but was driven out and managed to escape with his life before being confined to this place where he chose to rest. I believe the group have then decided that, seeing as that was his objective, that they would probably try and follow through with this, try and ascertain what was happening here, and perhaps a purpose, perhaps not, perhaps just a thorough investigation. But Rogel, you know, the other side of the courtyard, toward the base of the mountain, some 100 metres, perhaps 200, up a crevice between the rocks, is an entrance to some sort of, he calls it a tomb, or catacomb.
Well, then that's where we should head.
That's where you should head now.
And I'll relay all that info to them and gauge their reaction.
Yes. You can go.
Oh. Beats going outside. I mean, are there any dead things down there? I mean, dead things that move around?
Well, we'll have to get through dead things to get back there.
Yeah, so we are going outside then, and how to get to a tomb?
Well,
Going to be fighting dead things whether we try to leave the town or go to the tomb. We may as
Yeah,
well
exactly.
finish this off.
Yes, but
at least this tomb sounds like it has promise.
all right. You think maybe the tomb is the job?
That's all we've got to go on.
Yeah, this guy was the one we were supposed to meet, and he was investigating this tomb, thinking that it was the source of this. So,
How far is it?
how far is it?
200 yards.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Across the
So
courtyard.
we can run, eh? We can make a dash.
You act like I can run.
And, we can carry you, Rogel.
Well, the dead took a while to stand up last time, and they were disorientated for a while after they stood up, so we should be able to make it. At least get very close.
I honestly think I have enough encumbrance to where I could carry Rogel.
Probably.
Probably.
Need that ride check. Ride Oleg check.
So, it's quiet outside right now. You have some supplies with you that you managed to carry from the cart. What is the plan? Are you leaving now, or are you staying to rest a while?
We should rest and at least be able to
Yeah.
figure out a way to survey outside first.
There are a few windows, pretty much as the picture suggests. If one were to move a table across, Rogel, a little bit hard for you to reach up, but for the others, certainly standing on the table, you'd be able to get a head over the rocks just to have a little spy around.
Can we fit through the window?
Certainly. Perhaps slightly wider than you are.
You think Rogel weighs less than a pig or more?
Far less.
A
So
piglet, maybe.
we should be able to get him up through the window, and he can look for where the tomb is exactly from there.
Yes, he can stand on our shoulders.
I like where this is going, guys.
And do we have any rope? Because if we do, he can go out the window, and we can always pull him back up.
You do have rope.
Yeah, I don't.
I
We
believe
do,
I'm
like in
carrying
the
it.
storage.
You had some on the cart, so someone will have brought it in.
Okay.
Yeah, I still have 10 yards of rope.
I'd say we just make
Carried.
a mad dash for it, guys. I mean,
You know where the mad dash exactly?
yeah, it's out the courtyard and down the hill.
Where down the hill?
Oh my fuck. No, I won't be able to see it from this window anyway.
Yeah, but that's why we give you the rope, and you can.
Yeah, but the rope isn't like 200 yards long.
That's true. I was going to let go of the rope anyways. Yeah, just dash for it.
Yes. So then we run, eh? That's probably best.
Well, we may as well rest the night first if we're going to be running anywhere. Yours isn't looking to
yeah.
be in a good shape.
No, not really.
I mean, they're not coming for us. We have food. This is
We have healing
decent
potions.
shelter. We
It's
can
a
stay
little-
at night.
Little rank in here.
The smell is a bit pungent, but
You guys could move the body out the window, like you did that pig.
there's a few other bodies as well.
There you go. You know what to do.
Yes, but this body is a bit more squishy than the pig. Eh? It's been here for a while.
So,
It's been here a while. It should be hard, not squishy.
whoever's resting, you can make a average endurance test, I believe. See if you can recover some wounds.
Yeah, Oleg will be standing watch.
Okay. You can make an awareness test if you like, Oleg. Or perception. Well, I still forget which one's which.
Yeah,
Too many
that's the one.
systems. Perception.
That's all good. Challenging.
Indeed. So I think you get your toughness bonus plus 4 wounds back, Yoris.
Nice.
I think for Rogel, it will be your
I'll
toughness
get 2.
bonus -2.
Yep.
Still better than nothing. And I think that'll full heal you as well, Carl. So, I think you're looking pretty good. Oleged,
Yep. So missing one.
you climb up on a table, lean out one window at a time, just surveying the surroundings. It's much like when you first saw the village. Dead litter the streets. There is no sign of them moving. Not even a twitch.
And no wolves.
You look at the tree line, and with a roll of +5, you
Oh man, I
can
had forgotten them.
make out the corpse of your horse,
Oh.
which seems to have been, well, there's not really a corpse left anymore. It's just a few scraps of fluff. But no sign of any wolves. They would be the opposite direction as to where you would be headed, which perhaps gives you a little bit of comfort.
It's almost like something is trying to guide us somewhere. Well,
Is everybody sleeping at this point?
We could all wake up.
Yeah, some of them are having a rest. But you spend the time surveying the scenery. Some, we'll say 4 hours passed. So a light rest, but enough to replenish yourselves a little bit of the minor cuts and grazes that you experienced from the undead. Still, it is night time, however. The sky is dark, the cloud is thick, like a thick rain cloud. You have little to no concept of what time it actually is. There is sufficient light, though, to still see outside, but feels more like a moonlight.
Okay, well, I guess this is it.
Yep. Is there any? Are there any
If
torches
you
or
want,
something?
I could try and sneak ahead so that you guys can run if you need to.
no, I think we should all go together.
Okay.
Yes,
was-
but
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Because in that
But we
situation,
go-
that would just be a liability.
Hey, you're a liability any situation, Robo. Let's go.
Oh, here it is. Here it comes.
Yeah, all this pent up months of aggression. Yeah, it's gonna come out.
Oh no, not you too, Oleg.
Should we take a light or something, because we are going in a tomb and I don't
Oh,
see
yeah,
too well in the
definitely.
dark.
We need to bring that storm lantern.
Yeah, there's a lantern in the cart along with some oil.
But
Might
I
as
think
well take
Oleg
it.
has a storm lantern, right?
I do have the storm lantern, yes.
Yeah, so let's just everybody carry like some oil with you so we can keep it alight.
Yes. Let's just okay. Let's bolt.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Is Rogel going ahead, or are you all just bolting together?
Nah, they're not letting me go ahead.
Good.
No, I could just go ahead.
Who's opening the door?
I will open the door.
Yoris. As you move a couple of crates to one side and slide the door open, in front of you is what would be described as a pile of corpses resting against the walkway leading up to this building. There is enough room to move down, and thus far they haven't seemed to move.
Okay, guys. I think they are sleeping. Come on, let's go. And I will nudge the others to follow.
Right. Now, are you doing a run or a sprint? There'll be a difference.
Carefully not to step on any bodies, I will move down the stairs and then speed up as I go along.
Okay. You manage to make your way down the steps, as does everyone else. I'm assuming eyes focused dead ahead. You start to pick up pace. I'm going to ask for an athletics test from each of you to see how fast you can go. Who's going to be leading the way and who's going to be trailing behind.
Just normal.
Just an average. We'll make it average. You've sprinted before in your life. Okay. Marvellous. Carl, Rogel, Olegged. You're able to briskly pick up pace. Even though, Rogel, you're slightly slower typically than the rest of the group, perhaps the fear of being brutally murdered is enough to help you pick up a little bit of pace. Yoris lagging ever so slightly behind, not by much, only probably 6 yards or so. As you reach the edge of the courtyard, starting to find yourself running out of breath a little, you do notice a few hands starting to twitch. And the last few yards, one or two of them starts groaning as it reaches toward you. But you all make your way through the courtyard to a gate where a similar barricade has been placed. It is a series of crates, a series of boxes, a few planks. You can probably climb over or shift it to open the gate. Not necessarily easy either way, but you have about... Your estimate would be about 10 seconds to do something. So, what are you going to do?
Move them.
Muscles.
Move 'em.
Muscles. Right. Whoever... we'll take one roll, but we'll give you a plus 20 to your athletics test. So, who's doing the predominant amount of shifting here?
Probably Oleg.
Yeah, let's roll with Oleg. He's good at shifting
low
boxes, so
athletics, this is good.
let's have a plus 20.
Plus 20.
Okay. Just enough. Just enough. You're able to move the boxes out of the way. As you were doing so, I'll assume Yoris, Carl eagerly helping you, and Rogel just keeping an eye behind. Rogel, a few of them start raising themselves pretty much to about their knees, just struggling to find their footings, beginning to lurch toward you as the last few boxes are moved and the gate you can...
Oh, I'm ready to like drop and entangle if I need to.
Yeah. Fortunately, it doesn't seem you need to. And the gate is open. You're free to move through.
Go, go, go.
Okay. I assume the group is just running through the gate. Anything else happening? I will not put actions into your mouth.
They're coming alive. Come on, move, move. They're moving.
Yeah, go, go, go. If there's something on the other side waiting to trap us, we're not changing. This is we have to get away out of this situation.
Is it
first.
still open through the gate, or are we now enclosed it somewhere?
I would assume you have left it. You opened it, let's say, 18 inches, enough for someone to shimmy through sideways.
So can we close it again on the other side?
Give me a strength test. We'll have this one as plus 10. Plus 20 again, actually. Assuming you request some help. Yeah, just an average test.
Average strength.
Will help.
Yeah, I'm assuming everyone else quickly tries to reform the barricade by grabbing through the fence onto a crate and trying to pull it back
Rogel's
toward the
just
door.
yelling at you guys because he's not strong.
Come on, help, please.
Okay.
We can't close
With
this.
those two rolls,
It's
yeah,
stuck.
with those two, it's the leverage isn't there. You can't get your legs into this. It's not happening. A few of them start lurching towards you, slowly at that. I mean, they're moving at perhaps a brisk walking pace. One of them starts clumsily sort of trying to reach an arm through the gate to claw at you. Seemingly these lack much intelligence.
Yeah, we should just keep moving then. Let's
Yep.
go.
There is no way to get your
Go.
hands close to the crates now without dealing with them first. So, you begin your march, and are you moving briskly, I would assume?
Yeah.
Yes.
Same as the last.
Okay. It's a fairly straightforward path in front of you. It's a small, sort of loose, stoned, originally grass each side for the first 20 yards or so, but then you can see the path disappear between two large faces of cliff. You make your way through. It begins off at a very gradual gradient. Quite quickly, you're going up what feels like sort of 30 and near 45 degrees to the point where your legs begin to ache.
God, this sucks.
We won't need to roll a test. Nothing seems to be chasing you, or keeping up with you at the very least. But several...
Choice word seems.
Indeed. Several minutes later, you do arrive at the top, and a couple of curious things, but most notable would be a cavernous entrance carved out of stone. There are pillars. It seems perhaps more, let's say, decorative. Perhaps a tomb entrance. You would expect this to be perhaps a nobleman's graveyard, perhaps, or place of rest.
It seems a bit posh about here.
Sure, this is the place.
It's the only option. There's not much else here. There's that, a statue outside, a small well. Nothing else.
Oleg's gonna go over and investigate the well.
Okay. It seems to have been dried for, you would expect, some considerable time as you look down, drop a small pebble, listen to it plummet. About 5 or 6 seconds later, a small dink.
Well's dry. So that's not good.
Does the tomb have a door, or is it open?
It is open. There is no door. Seems to be a stairwell sort of leading downwards. Pretty much directly into the mountain.
Okay.
When I said it looked like a nobleman's tomb, perhaps a nobleman from several hundred years ago. This does not look fresh. This is very, very dated.
Well, this looks like fun. So let's get in there, boys.
All right. Lantern is gonna be on.
And let's actually try and close this door for once.
There
Yes.
wasn't a door.
There is no door.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yeah. A little bit of an oddity, perhaps.
Yeah.
So it's just an open air tomb.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Raising the question as to whether it was an entrance, an exit, or a tomb. Who knows?
Maybe
He called it a tomb.
Maybe there's a door at the bottom.
I don't know.
It's got stairs leading down.
Whatever. If we have to go through a door, let's make sure we can close it.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe you can help next time.
So,
So
who's going first?
Oleg will go first with his storm lantern, unshuttered, so the light is a beam facing forward.
Right. Marvellous. Let's bring up a better picture. We'll go...
Get some cavern music.
We'll go for pop. There we go. And we will activate. Ooh, I think we need to change the audio for that. We don't really want birds singing down here. Right, get rid of that. There we go.
Oh no, we left the outside world now.
You have left the outside world. Perhaps a little bit late to speculate, but the tomb faces the same rock, or cliff face at least, that the castle is on.
Ooh, you think maybe
So-
this is like a passage? Okay.
Well, as you enter and walk forwards, thank you for the follow, you gradually make your way down a long and winding stairway. Seems to go on for what feels like a lifetime. Perhaps 100 metres? It's fairly neatly placed stone, though. Doesn't seem to have collapsed too much. Most steps, although worn and weathered, are relatively even at least. You don't feel like you're in any danger of losing your footing. Till eventually you reach the bottom, and to your surprise, there are torches here that are lit. There's a chandelier that is within the centre of the room, and statues of bestial creatures. I don't know as any of you have lore Reichland, do you? Or if you do, feel free to roll. It's entirely up to you. This would be an average roll. Oleg, you would recognise this as some sort of gargoyle or ghoul, something you've heard about such creatures.
This is a ghoul goyle.
Oh,
You mean a
looks
gargoyle.
smugly at Rogel, like, I know something. Yeah.
It's a ghoul goyle. Maybe you small folk call it different.
yeah, maybe most folk call it different.
A Google?
A ghoul goyle.
No,
Well,
around
this is ominous.
They
This is ominous.
signify sanctity and protection, and it is always safe to go near one, I think.
Okay. I mean, they look terrifying, but if you say so.
I have a bad feeling about this. I mean, you did not put on the lights here, did you, Rogo? By some magic singing wavy hand?
What? No.
Perhaps a very long-lasting whale oil?
Don't think so.
No.
Nope.
Troll oil.
Maybe the Google did it.
The gargoyles? I don't know enough about gargoyles to say yes or no.
around the edge of the room,
Pokes at the statue.
there are numerous crevices. It appears that there are coffins that line the wall around the edge as you begin to look. The statues.
I would like to investigate this space thoroughly.
The statues all face inwards to sort of a central chamber. There are different rooms around, so this is not an isolated chamber. You can see there is a sort of a cullis that's dropped, separating this room from another, but there are at least 3 or 4 other corridors that lead off from here. All of similar architecture and similar, you would assume, purpose, but obviously you have not explored those. But lining the edge of this room are a series of coffins. Wooden, mostly, some stone.
Can we hear anything from any of the passageways?
You can make me a perception test if you like.
Challenging?
Average. No, difficult.
Difficult? Okay. Wow.
Nearly, but no. No, not sure. Not sure. Further exploration would be required. Rogel, what are you up to?
Oh, I'm just fascinated by everything. I want to like open what's in this coffin.
Prize one open. Do you want to make me a strength test?
Somebody come help me.
They are nailed down, sadly, and the stone ones are a little
Like-
big for your weedy frame.
Yeah, I can't do this.
Should we be desecrating the dead like this?
But if they have something on them that allows us to identify them, you know,
I'd have to fight them for it.
Why are we trying to identify who they are?
because we were sent to investigate this space and figure out what's going on. So if we
They're
know,
they're dead and hopefully not going anywhere, especially with the big heavy stone keeping them from going somewhere. And we know that they might go somewhere if they are not kept in there.
oh, you think maybe they're like what's outside?
Yeah. I mean, we can move it a little bit, maybe, just enough to peek your nose in and take a steep.
Like just peek our nose in on like one of the stone ones. Just slide it just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little bit.
All right.
Just to see if they're not empty.
Okay.
Alright,
Just to
sliding
see if
for a
it's
little.
empty.
Still.
Okay.
Because we have that storm lantern to
We won't roll
poke some
strength
light in there.
because you
Oh,
have time and multiple of you now to commit to this. You start shifting the lid to one side. And one of you, I'll assume Rogel, holding a torch up top so you can peer down inside. You open it up perhaps 2 to 3 inches and you get sight of some red garment. Something's inside.
Red garment.
Yeah. Something's inside. Seems
Is
to
it
have some
moving?
sort of clothing. Well, as you all sort of nervously wait and look for perhaps the next 30 seconds, there's no noise. There is nothing coming from inside.
Is the clothes old? Like,
Yes.
do they look old, or do they look like, someone, got up and walked around with them on?
Sort of are they sort of
Are they like, is the dust laid upon
there
them
is a
in
thick
the right
layer
way?
of dust upon it, despite the fact this thing is airtight. Just for the sake of before I get angry YouTube comments, when things decompose, they tend to release stuff. But yes, there is a sort of a layer of dirt and grime on top of this. You do not see any markings that would indicate that it has moved. That you
Okay,
can tell
well,
from this
that's-
3-inch gap at least.
Yeah, well, but that's still comforting. Okay.
Should we open it further, Rogel? What is it?
I don't know. I don't see anything. It doesn't look like it's moved. It doesn't look like it's going or it's going to move. Up to you guys. We haven't learned anything more yet. We just
There might be
know it won't
something-
kill us yet.
Might be something more down one of the other passageways.
I mean, honestly, even if it's just one of those things were to attack us, we could kill it pretty easily.
Well,
So
Isn't there
let's-
isn't there
Good
writing on the tomb, by the way?
like on the inside, you mean,
On the lid.
or even on the outside or on the lid? That's a good point. Is there?
Yes. Depends what languages you know, but this would be older than anything you are familiar with. There was a scholar you once had in your group who probably would have had a clue.
Yeah, who's that?
No idea.
I don't have any solutions to know what that is. So I guess moving on.
Yeah, well, we can explore more, or we can see what is in this.
Yeah, let's open it a bit more, eh? We
How many
already
of these
opened
stone
it.
ones are there in the room?
Maybe 10?
Okay, so they're a little bit more common, I guess.
The wooden ones probably outnumber the stone ones 3 to 1.
Oh, so there's a lot of coffins.
Oh
in here.
yes,
Okay.
the wall
Oh, no,
is
we're
coffins.
We're moving on then.
Should we reclose this?
Yes.
Yes.
We're
Your
closing all doors that we open.
Your
No,
knowledge
the
of
lead.
old world burials would be that basically if you're poor, coffin, wood. If you're better off, nicer coffin. You know, it's kind of how the coffin market goes. So if you're buried in something nice, you are probably more important. That would be your sort of expectation, or that would be your assumption of what's going on with coffins here, and perhaps why someone had a red garment inside one of these.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if you guys wanted to, we could loot this. We already opened it.
Now you've got my interest.
I would rather not be cursed, so you have your fun.
Cursed?
No. Let's open it. I
You
will
superstitious little...
push.
You're opening it?
Yes.
Cool. You slide the lid to one side, and it gradually makes way with you pushing on your own, Oleg looking concerned at you. Carl, what are you up to at the moment? What are your survival
probably
instincts
just-
telling you?
Looking off down the other passageways, wondering why there's lights in an area that's predominantly dead.
Good question. Good question. Yoris, as you slide it to, you see that the robe is perhaps part of some sort of armour, or attached to it, some sort of garb. You keep moving it, you see some chainmail. Then some sort of knightly armoured figure is revealed in front of you, decayed to the point of becoming a mere skeleton, with a shield resting neatly on its front.
Ooh. This guy looks like he was badass when he was alive.
Oh, he'd be badass when he's dead. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe we shouldn't mess with him.
I don't know. What do you what,
I got
what
the
do
bad
you get? Do you
feels.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't think this is a good idea, but I've said that already.
I'm not sure if I want to touch anything.
Well, Oleg, do you want chainmail?
No, I want to close that up and continue on because this is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
But that's like so good. Chainmail.
And plate. It's a full
And
suit of
plate.
armour. It's a full... It's a
Wow.
knight, basically. It's a dead knight.
Yeah, I can't swim in any of that, so yeah, no.
Alright, fine. No one wants it then. Then just close it back up.
I don't know. Did he have a weapon as well?
Underneath
said it-
the shield,
yeah.
there is the hilt of a sword.
just a sec. Oh wait, that's another thing.
It appears to be fairly decorative.
Yeah, I grab the shield just to see what's under it and move it very, very.
The shield is large.
delicately.
It is larger than anything the group carries currently, so it covers sort of like half the body. It would protect you quite a lot from arrow fire. Like if you were to hold that by your side, you would cover a large portion of yourself. That's not to say that you're going to get shot at by arrows, by the way. That's
So
just to
it's like
give you
big
a sense.
kite shield, kinda?
It's a size 3 in terms of the game, so it's quite a sizable shield. It seems to be metal framed with some sort of very
Like
dainty.
wood.
It is wood. Very,
Okay,
very
yeah, it's
dated.
wood with like a metal frame. Okay.
Yeah, very, very dated though. But not decayed. Not overly, anyway. The sword underneath, beautiful. In a creepy sort of way. There is some sort of eyed figure on the pommel, and the blade reaches a slightly curved tip. Not quite a sabre, still a sword, but with an unusual finish.
George grabs it. It's curved. It looks a bit like a saber, so he grabs.
It's yeah. Do you want to roll me an evaluate?
I don't have it, so Rogo, what, look at this sword. What do you think?
What am
And
I
he
looking
waves
at?
it in front of him.
You think I can evaluate? I can.
You can, or you okay? Look at it.
There you go. Brogel, this is
I can also poke it to see if it's magic.
a nice sword.
Yeah.
This is a very nice sword. You don't. It's still a sword, but it's very nice. Probably
Magical. But yeah, that's pretty.
to own something of such craftsmanship, you would have been doing quite well, or have been a fierce fighter.
Maybe he was some kind of pirate, eh? Yeah.
I mean, it looks pretty awesome. It's like a saber thing. A little bit curved swords.
Yes, but you know what? I don't want to steal from this guy, so I will just take this sword and then I will give him my sword. It would be like a trade, eh? You get something to defend him at the gates of.
Wonderful.
And I will take his sword and put my sword as best as I can in the coffin.
You put him fully equipped back into the coffin. You shield on top.
Yeah, maybe not as neatly as it was, but
Yeah,
as good as
a
I can.
slight jaunty angle, but you do so. You cover it back up.
All right, let's go.
Wait! Close the lid. We close the lid.
I thought you closed the lid.
It's
Okay, then close the
it's
lid.
closed now. It's you slide it to. It's somewhat heavier getting it back on, but meanwhile, Carl
With
has been
everyone helping. So
poking around. Meanwhile, Carl, I'll let you roll. What have you been doing during this? How far have you been wandering? Are you staying in this room?
I'm guessing they're like fairly lengthy passageways off.
Probably about 10 yards, and then another chamber. Not overly huge.
Okay. Probably just kind of edging down them to see if I hear anything, and then maybe poke
Okay.
my head in. If there's one that's lit up, check to see which ones are dark, which ones are lit.
Make
unless
one
they're all
more
lit.
perception test. Not so difficult this time.
Challenging.
Okay.
Oh wow.
You don't hear or see much. The next room from this seems to be a slightly different purpose to the room. It has a table, a fireplace, a small collection of books. Still around the edge is a similar design in terms of the room structure, and there are still the same statues. There are still some of the coffins around the edge, but somewhat resembles something a little more habitable. There's no sign of a bed, though. But I'll assume you don't wander too far. Everyone reconvenes.
find anything, Carl?
Didn't seem to be anything. It's more like it's used as a study rather than this area, but there's no sign of anyone. There's some books down there.
There's some books that could be useful. I could investigate those.
Well, I
If
didn't.
you guys want to set up there, and we can kind of use that as a fallback place, since we know where the exit is from here.
Well, I didn't see or hear anything, so it's as good a direction
well,
as any.
let's head there.
Okay.
Yep.
Any sign of who is making the lights?
Not yet.
No. He hasn't. He didn't see anybody, so then I don't think so.
I didn't explore far.
Well, let's
Okay.
go then.
Right. You step into the next room as a group, and as described, you're met with a similar structured room, but somewhat of a different purpose. Still, though, there are stone coffins around the edge. Less wooden ones in this room. Seems to be somewhat more ornate, perhaps. A couple of more regal-looking statues, and again, a study, a desk, and some books upon a shelf. Thickly covered
Rogel
in...
goes right to the books.
Okay.
And starts peering through them.
Start peering through the books. Do we have investigation in this, or maybe an intelligence roll, something like that, just to see how quickly you can sift through?
No, I don't really have.
Let's just roll intelligence then.
Yeah, that sounds good.
This is just to...
difficulty?
We'll go with challenging. Okay. You grab a few books off of the shelves and start to place them down. Quite a few of them dusted and worn to the point of having to be very, very delicate with them. Nothing strikes you as particularly out of the ordinary. They're in some unusual dialect. There's the occasional word that you can recognise, but not a lot. You would have a hard time reading these. You would need someone more familiar with old languages.
Well, too bad we lost the nerd.
I will say this, though.
What?
Numerous of them have pictures of corpses.
That is interesting.
You don't know what they do or mean.
I'll keep that to myself, though.
Yeah, and they're quite morbid books, let's say. Body parts, some maybe anatomy, but you don't really know to what purpose.
You know, like, that's interesting enough to where Rogel would want to pocket them.
Okay, you can stick a couple in your satchel of the ones you sort of find the most interesting in terms of pictures and perhaps look like they might be more curious. Bedtime reading.
Sweet.
Meanwhile, what's everyone else up to in the room while while Rogel's having a poke around the bookshelf?
Oleg will be watching the way they came.
Okay.
Is there another way other than the way
There
we came?
is another chamber ahead.
Well, I will...
This one's round the corner.
I'll check round the corner before I just blindly walk round it.
Make a perception test for me. Just before you go round the corner to see if you can see or... Well, no, see if you can hear anything. Sounds clear to you. You step around the corner and make a dexterity plus 20 roll for me, please.
Yikes.
Plus 20.
Plus 20. Good.
Nice.
You step around the corner sharply and you place your right foot in front of your left, feeling no step. You're able to quickly right yourself as you see a sheer drop in front of you. Seemingly near enough endless. But looking down at where your foot would be, you can kind of see something moving down there. It's maybe 100 meters down. It's a bit hard for you to see in this light. Eyes still adjusting and having had a torch in your hand, perhaps take you a couple of minutes to be able to make it out what it is. And you can hear I can only describe it as the sound of marching. Very unified, very organised, rhythmic. Almost like drums, perhaps.
almost like a lot of undead knights marching along.
That would certainly be a possibility.
I'm guessing that this rest of this corridor is down to that pit. It's not just like a small...
It would have gone the other side, but it seems to be that the floor has collapsed out from it. So,
Yeah, so I can't go any
about
further.
20 yards in front of you, there is another bit of the corridor, but you've not got a hope in hell of jumping it.
No. Okay, I'll go back. Join the others.
Did you have night vision, Carl?
Yes.
You rub your eyes for a moment, realising you have night vision. Looking down, you can see in more detail. Apologies for missing that. Let's say it takes you about 30 seconds moving the torch to one side, just waiting for your eyes to adjust. 4 ranks of, by this distance, you cannot tell what, but soldiers seem to be marching through a very wide underground passageway. You can start to hear very gentle clanging of chains alongside. You would estimate there is maybe 100 of them. Maybe 5 times that. It's pretty hard to tell. And they are pulling something along behind them. As best as you can make out, some sort of tree. Only a peculiar shape. Just make an intelligence test for me, if that's okay.
Yeah, flat.
Average.
That's that one. Yes, average. Oh.
Right. You
Impressive.
spend a couple of moments looking at the tree, and you really give it a good study. What strikes you as unusual is it almost has sort of 2 main stumps. It could, in some vague way, be made out to be the shape of a person, if they were a tree. 2 legs, 2 arms resting above sort of the main canopy. Unusual. Strikes you as interesting at the very least. You've never seen a tree like it.
And is it solid like a tree, or is it made out of like bands or something? Is it like a human?
It's
made out of stuff, or is it
maybe 20 feet long? As far as you can tell, it's a tree. It just strikes you as interesting that it's a tree the shape of a person, kind of. Not a humanish, yeah. You can kind of make out 2 arms, 2 legs, and that's because you rolled pretty good. Pretty good.
And they're dragging it off in a...
They're dragging it down the pass. Slowly, but they are dragging it.
Are they heading what would be deeper into this, or are they heading back more the direction we've walked to get to where we are?
Ooh.
So is it something they dragged from outside the area in?
I would say for where you are, it's a good question, but you're not sure. It would be hard to know. Let's have one more intelligence test just to give you a best guess. And this won't necessarily mean that you're right. It will just increase the probability. Yeah, navigation we'll roll with if you have it.
Maybe. Yes, I do.
Just as you've gone underground and taken several turns and then come down here as well, by now you've kind of lost your bearings as to which direction was which. You're not sure. You know that you might as well toss a coin. You really can't tell.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
I will head back to the others.
Okay. Oleg, Joris, Carl... Sorry, Oleg, Joris, Rogel. Carl comes walking in, looking somewhat whiter than before.
What do you see?
Well, there's a big hole up ahead. The passage has collapsed, and way down there's armies of the undead, like the guy that you just saw in that coffin. Except they're walking around and they're dragging a big tree thing.
What?
Dragging a
No.
big tree thing?
Yeah, it looked like it had arms and legs.
Those would be roots and branches?
No, not looking like this, they wouldn't.
Yeah, trees don't have arms and legs, though. They have roots and branches.
That's what I thought. Either way, they're a long way away from us.
It's pretty dark in here. I bet it's something.
I wonder if lore magic would know anything about a tree with arms and legs.
I'd say if you roll me a difficult roll, you might get something.
Alright, I'm rolling it on difficult then. Ha.
Sure, because gnomes. So you don't necessarily know what it is, but you know that there are various things in this world that kind of like animated things that wouldn't normally be animated via some form of magic. So at least to you, it's conceivable that a tree could come to life, just as a piece of a mountain could.
Or just like a dead body could.
Or a dead body, indeed. It may...
And why someone who's making dead bodies would be interested in animated trees.
It could be a hunch.
Okay.
Rogel.
Yes.
Beside you is a fireplace.
Hello, fireplace.
As you are at the desk, currently investigating a book.
Is it lit? Is this
No.
comforting?
It is not.
What? No, it's cold then.
But you can hear something from it.
What?
Something echoing in the chimney, very faintly.
Like, I don't mention this to anybody. I perk around and I'm gonna go investigate.
You stick your ear pretty much into the chimney. Let's have a...
Corruption test?
No corruption just yet. We'll go with an average perception test. You can hear someone talking. Some conversation. Sounds fairly relaxed. It's a deep voice. You can hear another voice after a few moments. Slightly lighter and more wispy, but two people having a conversation. You can't make out exactly what they're saying in terms of the words. This, you get the impression, is quite a long way away, but you've got bloody good hearing, apparently.
So it sounds like a man and a woman? Is that what I should be taking
Given
away
you got
from this?
+6, I would say probably two men or a man and a young man talking. Maybe?
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. But there is a conversation up there. Somewhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, I don't got anything for this. I can't. Shoot.
One would require line of sight for any sort of
Yeah, exactly. That's the
snooping.
problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
You...
So this is the best I got. All right.
This is the best you've got, but looking at the chimney...
Where would this go? We're inside like a tomb inside a mountain. Where does that even go to?
Well, chimney goes directly up. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if it goes
So
straight
it's a good
up,
question.
Then what is up there, and why are there people there?
Your guess from where you've
Gonna have
been
to figure it out.
would be
I guess.
something in the castle.
So we are kind of like right underneath the castle then?
Yeah, the castle wasn't like thousands of meters above you.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let everyone know that I just heard voices coming up the chimney. You know, some voices sounded like two men having a relaxed conversation.
What? There's people in the chimney?
There's people in the castle.
Can you look? Can you see how far up it is?
No.
And how good are you with climbing?
I can't fit in that.
Yes, you could.
Oh, no.
Come on, Rogel.
All right,
Yes.
all right, I'll climb.
Just put your back against the wall and then with your feet against the other wall and then shimmy up.
Well, I'm gonna need a boost.
Okay. Here, I will kneel here and then you can climb on my back.
It's about
All right.
just over 1.5 feet wide. So, in terms of a person climbing up, would be very, very challenging. Rogel, however, reasonable. You can reach each arm to the side easily, as well as 2 legs, and sort of Spider-Man your way up, if you so wish.
Spider-Man.
Let's have an athletic. Do we have? We don't have separate climb in this, do we? We just have athletics.
Yep, you have climb.
Oh, we have
do have
climb.
Yep.
Marvelous. Let's do an average climb test.
I'm gonna fail.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't.
This is going to be an extended test. So we're going to be rolling 3 times in total. And just checking for a fumble as we go. But so far, you've managed to make your way a bit of the way up. Taken a small breath, breather, gathered yourself, tried not to cough. What's that?
Don't
Oleg?
worry, we catch you.
Do we still have the climbing picks from the dwarf adventure?
Ooh. I would say probably not.
Okay.
But
I wasn't sure if we left them
got
at the
second
carrack or
wind.
not.
I would say in terms of doing so, they're not necessarily necessary here. The rough brickwork each side is quite easy to get your hands on, even though it's covered in a bit of dirt, but you also get the impression this fire hasn't been lit for some time. You do go on for what feels like near an eternity. No fumbles though, so you don't fall to your death, which, maybe next time. You eventually reach a point where there is a small amount of light coming into this. You can see the chimney carries on going up, but some of the the brickwork has collapsed across one face of this. Inside, you can see a dining room. Really large, substantial.
Well, I'm gonna immediately start channeling Olgu to stealth up and start sneaking around
Okay,
and poke around and see what I can find.
you can certainly do so. Let's roll Olgu and have you channel. Marvellous, marvellous. Yeah, you're still quite dark here. You pull yourself up, and just for the sake of a visual, Rogel. Let's get rid of the birds tweeting again, I think. You find yourself in a very large dining room, in fact. There are a few things that concern you as you enter. Numerous figures in various positions of, let's say, distress scatter the room. Although the moment you have to study them, you realise quickly they're made of stone, unmoving, unflinching. About half of the seats around the table are either gasping, holding onto their throats, some reaching towards others. One man holds a woman by his side. And a thick layer of dust covers the floor, your surroundings, as well as some crockery still present on the table, some plates. So, what are you going to do?
This is a really interesting space. Okay. Do I still hear the men talking, or no? Is it like dead silent now?
The noise has stopped.
Okay. Well then, I'm just gonna keep exploring. Nothing seems dangerous yet.
Okay.
I know they're here. I'm gonna keep my wits about me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really all I can do.
Okay.
So like, do I see like access ways to other rooms, like doors?
Yes.
Passageways, things like that.
There are probably about 3 main doors that head into this large dining hall.
Okay. Which one looks? I guess the best question would be which door looks the most used, I guess. And by that I mean like, like, does this place look like it's used? Like, is there, or is
That
it
is a
really,
good
really
question.
dusty still?
There are very clear footprints on the floor. So there are disturbances in the force.
Well, why don't I just follow those footprints?
Okay. You can see them leading to one particular door as you are making your way towards. From the seat of the table, which was certainly empty when you entered a room, comes a voice.
Ah, you were late. Come, join us.
What did I just walk into?
You turn your head, and there is a figure at the head of the table now. He wasn't there before, certainly, having surveyed the room in the paranoid way that only Rogel would.
Wait, so 1, you see me, 2, I didn't see you.
Yes. Come, have a seat.
Points to a chair in front of him.
You know what? I'm gonna go sit.
He seems to be eating something. Not exactly sure what it is until you get close, but as you do, he seems to be picking at the bones of what is most likely a person. The figure itself, you're unable to make out any of his features as he wears a mask. Some either wood or metallic mask, it's difficult to tell. He has a cape that's sort of drawn over his sides. Thick, long blacks, and partially furred in places. Seems currently to be sat at the table on his own.
I've been expecting you. You have come a long way. Please, would you like something to eat?
No, thank you. You've been expecting me?
Yes. Your friend said you would be arriving soon. You've been working for him for some time.
You look to his side, and in the chair next to him It's now a small child, looking back at you with a cheeky grin on his face.
Is it bowl hair? Bowl?
You never
haircut?
really got a good look, but it certainly could be. As you are surveying him, however, he starts to crick his neck to one side, reach an arm out, as if someone's just got out of bed and is sort of yawning. As he reaches in each direction, though, his body seems to stretch and elongate, and 5 seconds later, he's the size of a normal man. A long pointed chin and face, fingers touching in the sort of pyramidal thinking pose, leans on the desk looking toward you.
Ah, I do not believe Gideon has introduced himself.
I'm at a loss for words. I don't think Rogel has a default for this.
Probably
He's just
not.
Gonna be dumbfounded.
Good, for we have a proposition for you.
He claps his hands. Nothing seems to happen. At least not here. Back down south, in this dungeon, we shall call it, a small thud. I would assume those of you that have watched Rogel climb up have been listening intently and perhaps surveying your surroundings. Without a moment's notice, excuse me while I get rid of these bloody birds again. Without a moment's notice, you hear a click, followed by the instantaneous drop of a cullis at every exit of the room you are currently inside. Each of them drawing down a thick, steel, interwoven series of impassable structure. Probably a bad sign.
Uh-oh.
Do you think maybe Rogel did these?
Take your eyes off him for a minute.
Can we test the strength of said bars?
Certainly. Make a strength test. This is just to see how strong you are, not necessarily to see if you pass or fail it.
All right, challenging.
Sure. No. Okay. Like, you got the impression if you had a battering ram and some siege equipment that this may be passable. But for now, this is probably not going to be passable. I will assume the group of you have moved towards said location. We'll put Theo somewhere convenient. Somewhat disrupting your evaluation of this metalwork is the sound of wood breaking. And this met shortly after by the sound of stone crunching with the ground.
Uh-oh. What was that? Was it... I presume it's on this side of the door, right?
Oh yes, it's in there with you. You look to the previously pillaged coffin, whose lid you had just placed on some 10 minutes ago. It's on the floor again. And in rather a cliché horror film fashion, a hand reaches onto the side, skeletal at the tips, but largely covered in a plate gauntlet.
Yeah, so we need to find either another way out of here now, or we're dead.
Is there another way out?
There are 3 ways out of this room, Carl.
Is only the one blocked?
All 3 of them are blocked.
Nah.
You are stuck. You are stuck. And either side of you now are more of these things starting to climb out from their resting place. We will come back to you guys in a moment. Rogel, you're having a nice dinner party currently.
Are you sure you would not like something to eat?
I mean, what would I be eating?
Oh, we have a few things to choose from.
He waves his hand over the side, and a small piece of what could be gammon appears under his hand.
Well, it looks like I've eaten worse.
Give it a try. Now, we are in need of your services.
My services.
Indeed.
First, who are you?
Forgive me. I am Constantine. I would assume you have heard.
Have I heard?
Yeah, Ludwig told you a story about a feast where everyone got turned to stone, poisoned the Lord of Bretonia and the Empire.
That Constantine? I thought that was just a story.
A few of the details may have been lost over the years. But I have work to be done.
He pulls off a glove at this point, and you see in front of you the flesh on his fingers seemingly almost falling off, like one finger just flops onto the table.
I am in need of nourishment, and I wish to ask for some assistance.
And now we're going to pop downstairs. Oleg, Carl, Yoris. Apologies. What have you been doing while, well, a series of, we can call them graveguard now, have been climbing from their coffins?
You said there were 3 passages?
Yes.
Alright, so the smartest thing would be for us to all split up and each take a passage.
Where every one of them is covered currently by one of these metallic...
Oh.
Yeah, we're trapped in here.
You are in here. This is one of those boss scenes, I'm afraid, where, like Gears of War, you go in the room, the door locks behind you.
Can any of us fit up the chimney?
Rogel?
Just Rogel.
You could try and shove Theo up there. Like, I don't think he'll climb that well, but...
It's up to you, Carl. Do you want to save Theo at least?
I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. I guess we're just going to have to stand with our backs to the 1-block passage and fight this out.
Yes.
Yep.
Alright, Theo's in the middle. Back to back.
Yep.
Back to back.
Theo's cheerleading.
Right.
And Theo can have my lantern. I'll set it down and open up all the shutters behind us so we get some better light.
Okay. I will say that there are a few moments that you would have while they are clambering out. If anyone has anything they wish to do while you're back to back, if not, you're pretty much waiting for a fight to break out.
Nobody stole a bomb off that sewer dwarf, right?
Unfortunately,
He's got
not.
oil.
Right.
I mean, we could set them on fire, but we might just end up with them on fire and pissed off.
Well, let's do it. Just set a huge fire. Let's burn
Well,
this
we're all
place
carrying lamp oil, aren't we?
down. Yeah.
So
You
we
could
just...
certainly chuck the lantern onto one of them as
Did we
it's
bring
climbing
spare
out.
oil?
Yeah, we bought loads of oil. Well, we bought oil with us as well. From off the supplies from the cart.
Hmm.
And we have a lot of books around.
can certainly light a
Douse them
blaze.
as they get out.
Make a, I would say, let's go with, should we go with dexterity? No, initiative roll. Just to see how quickly you can get this done. So, I'm assuming you've probably only got one light sword. Mind you, there are torches around. So, you make me an initiative roll. See if you can basically be quicker than these things.
Just flat?
Yes, flat this time. Oleg, you are able to basically pour your oil lantern onto one of these figures as it's just about got an arm out on each side, almost like someone just about to get out of a bathtub. All of a sudden it has oil poured all over it, and it bursts into flames once met with a torch. It basically would scream if it could. You see it flail around trying to put the flames out, and in front of you it lurches toward as you sort of gain your position with the group again, but quickly falls to its knees. You can see its clothing quickly being torn apart by the flames in front of you. By the time you go to the next, it has a blade ready and sword. So I will assume the group of you reconvene. Now, we shall find out what is happening downstairs. Oh no, you didn't kill the first one in the initiative order. Right, the initiative order is as stands. If anyone would like to change it using fortune, fortune did get reset, so just keep that in mind. If you want to go first, modify 0.1, just because that always breaks. There we go. Marvellous. Yoris, you're going first. Apologies, I'm just changing this so it works. There we go. Right, and following behind you, Oleg. Going for you. Comes a figure. Caked in armour, head to toe. You've never seen a knight in person, but this could definitely pass for a dead one. Comes at you with a sword and takes a swing. Let's get some more action-orientated music as well. There we go. Right, how well did it do? -2. +1. Successful defence. 1 advantage for you. Well done, sir. There we go.
Come at me if you think you're dead enough.
Carl, you are next. Same again. 1 charge coming from a skeletal creature, lurching forward with unnatural speed. A nice critical in response, carving its shin, dealing 4 wounds to it. So, that is that. And you succeed in defending yourself as well. Well done. Right. That will be 10 wounds left. It looks pretty hurt after you managed to slash at its leg, one of the bones seemingly crunching underneath your blade as you meet. With its plate armour, but still there is a crunch underneath. It stumbles on the spot, still living. I know you can't see their health bars, but I'll try and just tell you this as we go along. And let's also just sort the ambient volume out, which is a little bit on the high side. There we go. Right. And apologies, I just want to get rid of the tense music too. There we go. Right. Last one. And Yoris, it's you to go.
Is there room for me to shoot one with my bow?
There currently is, yes. It will mean you will probably... What you're about to be charged, you would expect. So if you shoot with your bow, though, you'll have a bow out when they charge you.
Then I will assume, yeah.
I'll tell you what, Yoris. I'll give you a free shot before this happened, because you would have had a time for it. Like, you would have been able to take a shot with your bow, so...
Okay.
Have a free one, and then you can do what you like with this round.
Is it how close are they? Is it average or easy?
Easy. +2.
Okay, that's the one bottom right.
Okay, we're going to attempt to parry it. Does have the capacity to. And so, bow test SL2. What's the base damage on the bow?
+6.
+6.
Says here.
Okay, 8. The arrow goes straight towards the centre of the chest plate. The shield seemingly down by the side of this creature at the moment. It just about glances through and penetrates into the chainmail, but the creature seems pretty much largely unfazed by this. You get the impression this armour is pretty tough to get through. Right. Now what are you doing this turn? We'll count that as your surprise.
Defensive stance.
Defensive stance. A good choice. Right, now this guy's technically on 0, so he's going to come charging at you. Gaining him 1 advantage, and there is the roll. +3.
I'm defending with that sword. Does it do anything special? Or
It's just a sword.
Change my regular. Okay.
It is just a sword. You do get +20 for defense, though. Pretty reasonable roll from him. A pretty decent roll from you, however. Right. You are alive as you gain 1 advantage. Congratulations. And following from that, we have Carl to go.
Did I get an advantage for a successful defense?
Yes, you did. Congratulations.
Thank you. Right, take a swing at the guy I defended against then.
Okay. Go right ahead. He's looking a little bit wounded. We'll go with the D&D terminology. He's a little bit hurt. And a successful hit.
He's a bit more hurt now.
Right, and a reasonable amount of that damage getting through, actually. You managed to find a weak point in the armour where you're able to... do you have a hammer or a...
It's a war pick, so it's got a hammer on the one face and a pick on the other.
Right. Which end would you like to use at the moment? Not for mechanics, just for fluff.
I would probably be using the hammer end, considering they're heavily armoured.
Sure. And with that, a notable crunch from his shoulder, as it seems like it may have dislocated. With 1 arm and 1 leg, this creature is now struggling, one could say. Oh, and he shouldn't have had an advantage there. Brings you up to 2 advantage, however. And Oleg, it is you to go.
Okay. I guess. Well, yours is to my back, right? Are we all back to back right now?
You're back to back, and sort of we can say this one's kind of here, just for the sake of it making more sense.
Okay, well, I'm not going to hum and haw too much. I'm just going to swing. I
Yeah.
was thinking defensive stancing for the other 2 guys before they charge, but
You certainly could.
they're not guaranteed they'll charge all that. So
No.
that's why I was asking.
You would
about
expect
position.
at least one of them to, from the way they're moving. I would say that's fairly obvious.
You can charge them.
No, I can't. I'm engaged in combat. Whoops.
Just swing. Just swing.
Can
What Oleg would do. He would just
I
be
guess
like, "Oh,
happening.
you're right here. Swing."
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Let's do it then. Let's have a swing. A reasonable roll. And a defensive roll in return. Not a bad hit. Not a bad hit.
You're using that boat hook, right?
Yeah.
Legit.
The hook seemingly struggling to get through the armour. You still connect and it staggers on the spot slightly. A hit, though. Still a hit. And, right. Then, not coming out of nowhere, but to your flank, comes another. Now, technically outnumbering you. we will have a roll there.
Excellent.
Marvellous. Marvellous.
This is what we needed.
This
You
is
guys are
what
great
you
now.
needed.
This sounds fun.
Yeah, let's have your defensive roll. And let's see what the fumble is as well. Oh, I clicked on shield by accident.
Oh.
Suffer 1 damage. Okay, the weapon suffers 1 damage, and it will go last next turn. Just try and remember to remind me that. Marvellous. And of course, yes, you easily defend yourself from that blow. Not a problem. Right. Yoris.
Yes.
Same to you, dear sir. Another one comes to join its fallen, or, well, hopefully not fallen twice, but fallen once already. Comrade. A connecting blow. At least I can kill one of you. Oh dear, that's 12 to the head. Yes. A rather nasty blow there. I'm assuming you have no means of mitigating that. And
Nope.
yeah, that's just a hit, pretty much.
Could you?
Fate?
Yeah.
I think you burned all of yours, didn't you, Yoris?
I have 1 fortune, 1 fate, 1 resolve, and 3 resilience. So I could do a just ultimate roll to say I roll 11 and then I
Yeah.
automatically win by 1.
Yeah.
Did you give yourself a plus 20?
No,
So I think
plus 10.
technically you were still defensive stance, weren't you?
He was.
Yeah.
You would have
Okay.
still lost, but you will have 2 more hit points, if that changes how you view things.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep. So stick on 5 hit points for now.
Ouch.
Okay.
It's cool. Everything's going absolutely fine.
You're
And
a sailor.
now we go back up top for a
Not man.
moment. Back to the dining room.
Ah, yes. You see, my flesh requires sustenance. I am in need of bodies. You've been kind enough to bring me 3, but I am in need of more.
Wait, I brought you 3? Oh, no.
My guards are decapitating them as we speak.
Okay, wait. What is it that you want from me?
I will need 2 things. Firstly, I will need you to report to the Grey Order in accordance with my instructions. I will write it down for you. For too long they have attempted to meddle with my affairs. Most importantly, you must insist they send a battalion, for I need to feed.
He reaches over the table as he says so. Sort of looking you dead in the eye, and you can see a withered, like a cataract texture over a eyeball before he turns his head and sits back again.
Okay. I mean, that's easy enough to do. I could do that for you if you let my friends go.
We will come back to this in a
And you'll
moment.
have I mean, there's only 3 of them. Yeah, I could send you a whole battalion.
We will come back to that in a moment. Round 2. Oleg. And a swing comes towards you from the dude on your left.
Ooh.
Right. +2. A reasonable hit.
Should I be at 3 advantage?
You
Successful attack, successful defend.
You successfully did everything, so yes, well done.
Let's fix that. Shield.
The one on the left is more hurt, and that is definitely successful. Oleg has become immortal. Such are the rules of fantasy.
We'll
And
get 'em.
in the meantime, though, Yoris is dead, basically. We'll see. We'll see.
Yaris.
We'll see. Not outnumbering you, though, Carl. Another hit comes.
Roll better, man.
They're not that skilled, but they might outnumber you.
Oh yeah, they only have 40.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Their strength is in numbers. And,
Strength is in never dying.
well, there is that too. There is that too. It's probably worth pointing out, not for this round, but in between the, let's say, the throes of combat, there are the others.
Of course, there's
There are wooden ones in here as well, I'm afraid. The good news is they've not got as much armour. They'll take a while to be upon you. Right. And it is Yoris to go. Yoris.
Joris will slightly laugh at the guard guy in front of him and wink, switch his sword to his other hand, and then quickly draw his mysterious silver hand weapon, because he suddenly remembered that did really well against those freaky wolves.
Yeah.
And then he will lunge at one of them and attack him.
Sounds good to me.
And depending on what I roll and what he rolls, I might spend some points.
We'll see what you do. Fantastic.
Spend that point.
Probably spend that point, yeah.
Right. Well, let's see how he does. Okay, a -3. So a re-roll or a special point? What are you thinking?
No. I'm using a resilience
Okay.
to roll a 11.
Yeah.
Okay. We will edit your roll. There we go. A critical. Congratulations. Let's see what the critical is. A deep cut. Difficult to cut something that's already dead, but so that's 10 first, and then we will exchange this with this with this 3, and it will do another 4. Nearly. You jam the blade into it, and it lets out a hiss once it passes through the armor. A little bit of like a whitish smoke comes out, and you can see the abomination in front of you writhing in a degree of pain. It's just about hanging on right now. It's hurt real bad, but it is not properly dead just yet. But you do gain an advantage. Congratulations. Carl.
Yep, hopefully going to put the death blow on this one.
Right. We have a decent roll. Very nice. It depends what he rolls. Oh, that's going to be close. Now, let me have a see how much gets through. Draw. Not enough. Not enough, unfortunately. Thanks to a good roll from him. What I can tell you, something you observed, Carl, in front of you, is that the wound you inflicted seemed to carry on hurting him afterwards. You can't explain it, you're not exactly sure what happened, but he's continued to experience further wounds since you've been fighting without you necessarily connecting a blow to him. I'm sure some people will metagame what that represents, but likewise, Oleg, the one you have already hit, seems to be crumbling almost in front of you. And on that note, Oleg, it's your turn.
Alrighty.
One on the left is nearly gone.
Right.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, you're gonna tempt me to hit the one I shouldn't hit. I know how this works.
Let's have a go. Right. Okay, and a very nice roll. That will almost that will certainly be the end of it. You cleave through the one on the left with very little effort now. Boathook easily making its way into its arm and basically hacks it off in one piece. Right. Not as easy to cleave through, so not quite granting the death blow which would normally only be on small opponents, but you do have movement left and a lot of advantage. Anything you would like to do?
Well, is it possible? I mean, I could disengage with advantage, but how do I help Yoris out?
From where you are, you would be able to step to one side, still within reach of the one you're fighting, but to basically...
All right, how many...
basically to stand there. You don't need to burn, because you're still engaged. The engagement now would basically count as a 3-on-2, so they no longer outnumber you. However,
but that does leave Carl open.
Carl's a bit more open, and you kind of have your back, where you're kind of now trying to deal with too, but hey, Carl seemed to be doing all right. Not that I'm metagaming here, but...
It's true, he did seem to be doing all right.
You would have glanced and seen his foe crumbling.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Righto. And now to you, O-legged. Not outnumbering anymore. Chances of hitting pretty slim. I think we can pretty much cross that one off. Let's have a defensive roll.
With his advantage.
Yeah, not a chance. I will give this lowly one, because they're attacking you from almost two different directions, I'll give him a lowly +10, and I hope you'll forgive me.
That's fine.
Just to, because really they don't stand a chance. Not until backup comes. Yep, one more defensive roll. Once you're capped in terms of advantage in this. Being outnumbered, though, you do lose advantage at the end of each turn if you are outnumbered. It's a rule I hadn't been applying to Yoris and Olegd. Something for future GMs. One of 100 rules in this that I continually forget. And lastly, Yoris. Let's see how you do.
Yep.
+1. +5. A successful defense for Yoris. You are alive for now. Now, we'll just move these here to add to the initiative order. And pop and roll your boat. Lovely jubbly. And we'll just scatter them around now so they look a little more marvellous. Back to the dining room, everyone. Where Rogel is currently enjoying a nice spot of tea with, well, a nice bit of gammon, actually, with Constantine Drachenfels.
Is it tasty?
It is. Very lush and moist. You kind of... To the point you're not sure if it's real or if it... You don't know. It's a bit suspect. Like, it's so good. And warm. Steaming, in fact.
So, you are willing to assist us?
He's going to make some sort of roll for that. Now, you don't have to say, but he would have got like a +1 or 2. So if you're lying, you can just roll a D100 if you like. You don't have to tell people if you're lying or telling the truth. And we can have a little comparison just to see how much he trusts you. How good at lying are you, or telling the truth?
Let's see. That would be what? That would be. There's no like deception.
Fellowship. It's just charm. It's all charm in this.
Oh, my charm's terrible. It's 36.
Okay.
So I got like a -2.
Yeah. So basically, he will have a clue whether you're lying or not. So are you being truthful that you would gladly order a battalion of people here to their death?
If he lets the 3 go that I brought with me.
Good. I am glad to see you have trustworthy eyes. I bet they taste good.
Oh, yeah, you can keep wishing.
Gideon has further use for you. I will allow your friends and yourself to go, but first we must shake on this.
And hands out. Oh, passes out a hand that is... You would estimate he's maybe 9 foot tall, so it's like a baby's hand. Well, your hand is like a baby's hand, sorry, compared to his.
Holding an apple?
Not quite.
This is like supremely intimidating.
Yes, in a word.
Do I need to like roll a cool check to be able to do this?
Sure. You can... Whatever modifier you feel is appropriate.
Let's do difficult.
Okay. Rogue
okay.
feeling brave, because gnomes.
I know, right?
Gnomes and their willpower, man.
Even on difficulty. Yeah, right. It's all willpower. Those 30 points came from willpower. I'm going to go ahead and, shake his hand.
Okay.
I'm going to reach up and shake his finger.
You put your hand out and his palm basically envelops yours and squeezes it. It covers basically your hand and let's say 4 inches of your forearm. He squeezes, and as he does, there is a degree of pain in your arm.
Yippee.
As he releases, you look down at your hand and arm.
Ow, 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 ow. What's wrong with it?
There's no flesh on the bone anymore. It's a skeletal hand.
I'm just blinking.
Or rather, the flesh is dropping off of it in front of you. You can still
now
move
I'm
it.
Screaming.
A little piece of security for me.
I'm like literally screaming as he's saying those words.
He'll let out a chuckle at that and turn to look toward his very silent partner at this point, who is equally chuckling to himself.
Do not worry. It is reversible. To a point. It is also progressive. Should you dally on my task, it will consume you. Now, we have an agreement.
As you look up from your abomination of a hand now, really, as seconds go on and you try and put the flesh back on, it just falls off. Like a hand that's been dipped in acid, without being too grotesque.
How am I supposed to convince anyone of anything when I have, like, falling off flesh hand?
True. We'll just go ahead and say that you've taken some corruption here. Let's roll... You're just going to take it.
Mind?
It could be. You don't know. This might all just be a dream. Right.
Okay, so...
As you look up, let's forgo the roll. You've got some corruption.
I got some corruption.
Just wear a glove.
I am a
how much?
tyrant of a GM. We'll give you 2, which is nowhere near enough. How much capacity do you have left?
I have 3 left.
Okay, let's give you 3. You are going to be on the cusp, my friend, of
All right, so I have
greatness.
2 left now.
Yeah. Right. As you look up, he's no longer there. Neither is his companion.
And I look back down at my hand.
Oh, it's still fucked.
Oh no! I continue screaming.
I would say the others would notice, but they're a little busy right now. Back to them. Oleg.
This is vengeance for that grey college door, by the way.
Oleg, Joris, Carl. In front of you, the guards stiffen for a moment, and in unison step back. Each of you still flailing at them, not quite realising that they gradually fall into a formation, something akin to a shield wall. Blades sheathed behind the shield. Each of them gradually neatens this formation to a point where each one could be a mirror image of each other. And you can hear the gates start to open. Slowly. You hear the screeching of metal against stone. At this point, Rogel, what are you up to upstairs? Still screaming?
I mean, the only way to get back to them would be going back down the chimney, which would probably lead to me dying. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, your choices are kind of...
My choice is
the door
basically,
or
just find the front door and go out.
just let yourself out.
Yeah, like, I'm so... I don't even have, like, the wherewithal to even want to investigate any further. I need to get the F out of this room and, like, save my hand.
Okay. What would your option be?
Well, I can't necessarily climb down with my skin falling off, so I'm just gonna
You
find
can
a front
still
door.
move the hand, I would point to. You would have twigged this by now. I'm not saying it's going to be great at climbing. Bone is perhaps not quite got as much grip as a finger pad. But it's up to you. Equally,
At this point,
the door is there.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that I'm not gonna get attacked by something on the way out.
Sure. You approach one of the doors
I'll
then.
take my way out, yeah.
Okay, sure. You approach one of the doors. Heavy and thick, but as you approach, it gradually creaks open. Revealing the other side, a large hallway, corridor, stained glass windows, some of which shattered but mostly intact, giving a sort of a purple hue to the inside of this building. Large, ornate, decorative, bigger than any temple you've been in. Fairly evident as to where the exit is, being a large, some 20, probably 15-foot high double door that is currently closed and has 2 figures stood in armour either side.
Are they drawing their weapons at me?
No, they just seem to be stood there.
I say to them, let me out, open the door.
One looks down toward you. Not at you, necessarily, but at your hand. You notice at this point it's not a person, it's an animated skeleton. By now, I guess that wouldn't come as a complete surprise.
I'm just watching my skin droop off, and the skeleton doesn't seem strange at all anymore.
The skeleton lets out something between a sigh and a hiss as the front door slowly creaks open. The skeleton then locks eyes with the other, and you give this monstrosity of a building one last glance before leaving, realising there was perhaps some 20 of these inside, various positions.
Yeah, I went out. Though, being able to conjure like an army like that seems really interesting.
Pretty cool.
Like I envy that kind of power, even though I'm terrified. There's the reptile in the back of my brain is saying that's kind of cool. I want that kind of power.
In front of you is what once was a garden, perhaps. Withered, decayed trees, twigs that perhaps were once bushes, but more notably a steed down some steps. It is black. A dark blackness to it, and almost a creature of shadow. I think, given your school of magic, you would not be entirely unfamiliar with the concept of
a shadow steed.
A shadow steed.
Excellent. So I've been wanting to learn how to conjure one of those for a long time, but Master never told me. Told me I needed to stretch my legs. Jerk. So it's just sitting there. No one's atop it. No one's. Where's its summoner?
There is no one around. It is just you outside, currently, and this steed.
I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm going to walk up to it. Maybe.
Okay.
Yes.
It is fortunately placed near a wall. Because let's face it, you have not a hope in hell of climbing onto a horse any other way. But it doesn't flinch, doesn't respond. It's sort of just stoically behaving itself, let's say.
What a great horse. So calm, not stupid like the other one.
Given that you have second sight, you would be absolutely certain that this is a magical creature. Or a summoning, or a representation of a creature at least. Let's say you're not entirely familiar with how the spell works, but you know this is a shadow steed by now. You're confident of that.
I say to it that I want to go to the base of the to the entrance to the tomb that was beneath the castle.
Okay. I assume you climb aboard.
I climb aboard.
And without a moment's hesitation, it lets off in an almost silent gallop as the moment the hooves touch the ground, instead of this sort of roaring patter of hoof against stone, it almost sounds somewhat ethereal, like the horse is somewhat weightless.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is weird, this amazing horse or my hand.
I'd say a bit of both.
I'm just in shock, I guess.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like, I'm on autopilot.
By now, Carl, Joris, Oleg, the formation in front of you, neatly arranged, has started gradually shifting forwards. You had your back to the gate. No weapons are drawn, but each of them steps 1 foot forward in unison. And then another.
Goes back through the gate.
And then another.
Oh, but we can get out.
Oh, yes. The gate has been drawn open. You have no idea what's going on.
Should we grab anything before we leave?
Can I throw one of the tins of lamp oil at them and light it?
You can try.
We're just going to, if we're piling up the steps, just throw it at the base of the steps and throw a torch on it.
Certainly. You roll me a ballistic skill just to see how well. Let's do an easy ballistic skill just to make sure you can sort of light it and hit it with a torch.
Get ready to run.
Ballistic.
At the base of the steps, I would note that they don't follow you anymore, but if you want to throw it at them just to be spiteful, sure. What could go wrong? Yeah, that'll do it. You see the front row of them burst into flames. None of them move, however. They just stand there as their bodies gradually are engulfed in the flame.
Still satisfying.
Seemingly well behaved, at least, for undead minions. As you arrive to the top of the stairwell,
Charles will turn around and yell down the stairs, "I'm keeping the fucking sword!"
A rather humorous thing I would have forgotten to mention was that one of them would have been attacking you with Yoris's weapon. I didn't point to which, but I'm just going to say it was the one attacking Yoris.
Yeah, I was trying not to metagame. I was totally curious as to which one it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would have been way better if you had left the mop there.
Yeah.
Would have been good. And so, you arrive at the top of the stairwell, the entrance to the catacombs, being greeted by Rogel atop a shadowy steed looking back at you.
The very first thing is I hold up my hand and say, "Guys, do you see this?"
Do we?
Rogel seems to be a little bit undead, a bit like the rest of them. And on that note, I think that is a good point to leave somewhat of a cliffhanger.
Just Rogel saying, "Guys, do you see this?"
Yeah.
And the rest of you drawing your blades, guys.
To be continued.
To be continued another time. If anyone's not familiar, we are going to be having a little bit of a hiatus from fantasy to run some Wrath and Glory for the next weeks, months, not entirely sure, but new systems out, need to have a little play with it, needs to be done. So we're going to be doing some 40k roleplay for a bit. We can have a little bit of a chat about that now if you like. We could do so on stream, certainly. To have a little...
Sure.
How are all the players doing right now?
Excellent.
Good.
And, I honestly thought Oleg was going to die.
Yeah, too easy. But that's how you make a party somewhat more vulnerable, is you take away the bloody gnome.
Yeah.
Take away the gnome with... There are so many balance things regarding fantasy, which I think I could do 100 combat encounters and I'd still be scratching the surface of what I would need to know to balance it properly. It always is surprising how things go. It's an interesting system, certainly.
Yeah, small casters are better than any large that you could make. It's silly.
I'm certainly looking forward to a break from the D100 system. So if those of you in the chat aren't familiar, Wrath and Glory is a very simple system by comparison. It runs a bit... It's not the same, but it runs more like 5e D&D in terms of roll some dice for me, fine, that's what you got. It's very, very less crunchy, whereas for each one of those combat rounds, if we did not have Foundry, and shout out to Mooman right now who put this thing together, that combat probably would have been an hour and a half to 2 hours. I would
Foundry has been so amazing.
It really is.
Yeah, if you have to calculate SL, then you have to calculate damage, and then you have to...
Yeah.
It's so everywhere, and you have advantage, and you have the difficulty of the roll. It's just...
I'm an old
So you
dumb.
forget about.
I'm surprised. I was hesitant to include it to begin with, thinking that actually
It'd
not
be great for like an RPG video game, but having to roll those all manually, like on a legit tabletop, would be terrible.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work, and it's fine if like you fight people once every 3 sessions and it's a really dangerous combat, and it's just like a one-on-one. You're fighting someone in a bar that could kill you. But the trouble is the way the mechanics work in this game is you've got so many tools as a player that unless you fight something stupidly hard, it's fighting someone that's even with you is always going to be easy once you factor in rerolls and advantage. So it's certainly an interesting system, and I do have a lot of good things to say about it. It's got a lovely setting and a lovely vibe, but certainly looking forward to a break. So we're going to be running a bit more of a sandbox 40k campaign. We're going to be bringing it right back down to... it may, for some of you that are excited for Astartes and bells and whistles and all of the dogmatic stuff, may be somewhat disappointing because, as a bit of a personal gripe, I find that all to be rather tiresome because it pretty much decides what the players are going to do when you present them with a problem. And I know that there are some moral grey areas in 40k, but, well, we're going to be doing this a little more like Rogue Trader, where the rules are going to be somewhat greyed. So we're going to be setting our campaign within a void station outside of Imperial space. So a former Imperial colony where the dogma has been largely driven out and there are survivors. And what they believe in exactly, we shall have to wait and see. But I think me and the players will probably have a little bit of a chat about the forthcoming campaign now. And I'll thank everyone for watching. And we can very well return to this another point and even have a part deux as to what happens from here.
Oh, definitely.
We've got...
Yeah, I need to... I'm putting my foot down. Rogel's retired. I'm not playing him anymore.
Rogel is... Yeah, Rogel is... on...
You can figure out what happened, or we can work together to figure out what happened from that moment on, later on.
The new party's going to run into 3 bandits early on. And we're going to kill them and find a mop and a silver hand weapon and a small dog. And one of them's going to be really tough, and the other one's going to be broke and just have a bunch of IOUs in his pockets. And another one's going to have a really, really weird book that we can't read.
Do any of the viewers have any questions about the campaign? That's maybe any plot questions or any, anything you wanted to know, any things that didn't make sense. And if it's like picking apart canon, I'm just gonna gloss over that and say it's because I said so. But if it's plot wise, how about for players if I give you each a question?
I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead, Rogel.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
All right. Anything special about Gran?
Yeah.
Or was she really just old?
She was old, and well, plot-wise, she contributed a fair bit by continually telling Gideon where you're going and what you're doing.
Okay. But not maliciously, in lonely old person way.
No, she just, as far as she knew, she had a child that was just coming to be nice to her and, bring her an apple every now and again and would have a little chat.
That's what I had figured. But I also had a sneaking suspicion that she was actually some ancient demon summoner or something, and that the child was her familiar, and she was going to do some kind of blood ritual with her shitty family.
Yeah. Fortunately not. She maybe there were a few ifs and buts as to what her fate might be. So I would point out that this campaign is designed for you to now be, from my original plans, halfway through it. At which point, so I planned this out to be a hell of a long campaign, basically, and because we're playing every other week, this was let's say, the reveal of what the big bad is. And it probably wasn't necessarily a big reveal because more information needed to come afterwards to make some sense of things. But yes, the child is Gideon. Gideon is the demon from Shadows over Boghafen, the previous campaign. So the demon basically in this version of events was never dealt with. He just kind of went into hiding and masqueraded as a child for a lot of the time and had fun telling an old lady that his name was Demon, and she just thought he said Damon because she's got a Yorkshire accent or a Geordie accent and couldn't quite, and partially deaf. So, yeah, she couldn't really tell the difference. But
So the Shadows over Boganoven demon is part of the Shadows over Boganoven campaign.
Yeah. So
the same demon whose skull got us grabbed by the witch hunters.
Right, so that was the summoning circle from the previous campaign, where I think it's one. I'll just tell you one of the noble families. Like, let's say that was underneath their warehouse, and that was like, let's say, a cultist summoning. That demon down there is not Gideon; it's a separate demon.
Oh, okay. So
that's a guardian, effectively.
Yeah,
but I bet Gideon was the one in the paintings.
Yes.
Funhouse.
Yes. Yes. In terms of, I think we can, because it sort of it's a little bit more fun to do so now. We can say that the patron that hired Elise to get the group to go to the Grey Mountains was Gideon.
What a dick.
What a dick.
I wasn't even expecting the Elise angle.
Pretty much everywhere and everything the group have been hired to do has been through the manipulation of that. And it wouldn't necessarily come out for a fair while. This campaign is going to have to be compressed for it to make sense. Because we would probably have needed another 15 sessions or so for all of that to make a bit of sense. So in one way, I think I've planned this to be a bit too long, but a bit of a lesson for me, because we're now, like 30 sessions in, and you guys didn't know who the big bad was. So that's something to reflect on.
Look, did you answer Son of Grimnar?
Oh, Son of Grimnar. Yeah, Damien is technically the big bad in a way. Yes.
He was the big bad's henchman.
He's orchestrating something. He's orchestrating something to happen, and some of the necessary things for it was that a mine shaft within the mountains was reopened. And he's been orchestrating other things elsewhere, but a tree man being dragged through. A few things have been required for his, quote, plan. That will be, let's say, in part 2 of this, if and when we return to fantasy.
I just realized Robo can wear his sweet necromancer ring now on his bone hand.
Oh, dude, he has so many corrupted objects in his possession that he's never gotten rid of. He is well equipped to suddenly retire into NPC villaindom.
He's in a good spot. Right, guys, thank you for watching. To the viewers, we're going to call this a day here. We will be back again. It's going to take a little while to get the next campaign sort of up and started, so don't expect anything next week after. I'll be doing videos instead, and I might do some live streams of GM prep, so we carry on, keeping busy and keeping you guys entertained. But probably we're looking at a month, maybe 2, for Wrath and Glory to start, give or take. Hopefully a bit less, but we'll see. So peace out, stream, take care, thanks for watching.